Archaeology. Buried in the archives of a forgotten excavation, there is a civilization tradition that never appeared in any major history book. Not because it was proven false, not because it was a forgery, but because nobody could agree on what it meant. Translation came from a damaged Sumerian tablet recovered from southern Mesopotamia. At first glance, it looked ordinary. Thousands of similar tablets have been found across the ancient world. Records of trade, royal decrees, and prayers to gods long forgotten, but this one was different. The text did not describe a king, it did not describe a battle, it did not describe a god. Instead, it described 3 places, 3 locations, 3 regions supposedly known to ancient scribes more than 4,000 years ago. And according to the translation, none of those locations could be found on any map. Not then, not now. Even stranger, the tablet repeatedly warned that these places had been deliberately removed from human knowledge. Not lost, not forgotten, removed. And if the translation is accurate, the ancient scribes believed those locations contained something so significant that entire generations were prevented from finding them. The question is simple: what could possibly be hidden so carefully that thousands of years later, humanity still cannot locate it? And why would ancient civilizations record its existence if they wanted it forgotten? The deeper researchers investigated, the stranger the mystery became, because the tablet didn't merely mention hidden locations. It described what waited inside them, and what those descriptions revealed may challenge everything we think we know about human history. The story begins where many of history's greatest mysteries begin, in the deserts of Mesopotamia, the birthplace of civilization, a landscape where dust-covered ruins stretch toward distant horizons, a place where cities existed before the pyramids rose from Egyptian sands, a place where writing itself was born. For centuries, archaeologists have excavated this region, searching for answers about humanity's earliest civilizations: every broken statue, every buried wall, every clay tablet. Each discovery adds another fragment to a story that remains incomplete. Yet some discoveries seem almost designed to deepen the mystery rather than solve it. One such discovery emerged from fragments recovered among thousands of damaged tablets. The clay itself appeared unremarkable, but the text carved into its surface attracted attention immediately. Unlike most Sumerian records, which focus on economics, religion, or governance, this text appeared geographical. It described routes, coordinates, landmarks, mountains, waters, Maya-firm, passages. Yet when researchers attempted to compare those descriptions with known geography, nothing matched. The landmarks didn't exist. The mountains were missing. The rivers appeared nowhere. Entire regions described in detail simply could not be identified. At first, historians assumed the locations were symbolic. Ancient myths often describe impossible landscapes, sacred mountains, divine rivers, legendary kingdoms. But something about this tablet felt different. The descriptions were unusually precise. Distances were measured, directions were recorded. Travel instructions appeared throughout the text. This was not how mythological locations were typically described. It read more like a guide, almost as if someone expected future travelers to find these places. And then came the most unsettling passage. According to one interpretation, the tablet claimed the 3 locations had been hidden from future generations intentionally. Not by natural disaster, not by time, but by design. The implication was extraordinary. Ancient scribes appeared to believe that knowledge itself could be erased. Entire places could vanish from collective memory. And perhaps they were right. History contains many examples of lost worlds. Myth. Cities once considered myths later emerged from beneath jungles and deserts. Troy, Machu Picchu, the cities of the Maya. For centuries, scholars doubted their existence, then archaeologists found them. What if the same thing had happened before? What if entire regions disappeared so completely that modern civilization no longer remembers them? As researchers continued examining the tablet, they noticed something unexpected. Each hidden location was associated with a different warning. The first location was linked to silence. The second was linked to knowledge. The third was linked to return. Nobody knew what those terms meant, but they appeared repeatedly throughout the text. Each warning grew darker as the translation progressed. The first location became known among researchers as the Silent Region. According to the tablet, it lay beyond mountains described as black teeth against the horizon. Travelers approaching the region reportedly experienced unusual phenomena. The text spoke of sounds disappearing, birds becoming absent, wind falling silent, even water allegedly flowed without noise. Ancient descriptions often contain symbolism. Yet this account was unusually detailed. The scribes described the silence almost scientifically, as if documenting an observed phenomenon rather than creating mythology. Some researchers suggested the story may preserve memories of a unique geological location. Others believed it reflected ritual symbolism. But a small number proposed something stranger. What if ancient people encountered an environment unlike anything they understood? The tablet offered one additional detail. At the center of the silent region stood a structure. Not a city, not a temple, a doorway. A doorway large enough that entire armies could pass through. Yet no description followed. The text abruptly ended, almost as if the scribe intentionally refused to record what existed beyond it. Omission created even greater mystery. What could be so important that everything surrounding it was described in detail while the destination itself remained hidden? And why did later copies of the text appear damaged precisely at that section? Coincidence or deliberate removal? Nobody knows. The second location proved even stranger. It became known as the archive beneath the earth. Unlike the silent region, this location was described underground. According to the tablet, ancient travelers descended through vast chambers illuminated by strange light. Within those chambers existed halls filled with records, not dozens, not hundreds, millions. The text described knowledge collected across countless generations. Languages, histories, maps, observations of the sky, accounts of civilizations that no longer existed. At first glance, it sounds like mythology, yet the concept appears repeatedly throughout ancient traditions. Legends from different cultures describe hidden repositories of knowledge preserved against catastrophe. Underground libraries, accurate chambers, vaults designed to survive the destruction of entire civilizations. Could such stories share a common origin? Researchers remain divided. Skeptics argue these accounts merely reflect humanity's desire to preserve wisdom. Believers suspect something more. After all, if civilization has suffered collapses before, survivors might indeed have attempted to protect knowledge from future disasters. The tablet's description becomes increasingly unsettling. The scribes claimed the archive was sealed, not to protect the records, to protect humanity from the records. That distinction changes everything. What information could be considered so dangerous that ancient civilizations feared its rediscovery? The text never answers directly. Instead, it offers a warning. It states that those who entered seeking power would leave with destruction. Those who entered seeking truth would leave with doubt. And those who entered seeking certainty would never leave at all. Whether symbolic or literal, the message remains chilling. Yet, even this was not the most disturbing location, because the third location that transformed the mystery into something far larger than archaeology. The final site was called the Place of Return. According to the tablet, it should not exist. The description begins with a journey beyond known lands, across deserts, past mountains, toward a region where the stars themselves appeared different. Ancient travelers claimed the sky behaved strangely there. Constellations shifted. Lights moved unpredictably. Time seemed distorted. Modern readers naturally assume exaggeration. Yet the text remains remarkably consistent. Multiple passages repeat similar observations. The Place of Return was associated with cycles, repetition, recurrence, the idea that history itself might not move forward in a straight line. Instead, civilizations rise, collapse, disappear, and then return, again and again. The tablet suggested humanity had forgotten previous ages. Not because they never existed, because each cycle erased the memory of the last. This concept appears surprisingly often across ancient traditions. Flood myths, lost golden ages, died worlds, forgotten civilizations. Many cultures preserve stories of earlier eras wiped away by catastrophe. Mainstream history generally treats such accounts as mythology. Yet the tablets seem to present them as historical memory. And if that interpretation is correct, the implications become extraordinary. What if humanity remembers only a fraction of its true past? And what if entire chapters of civilization vanished without trace? The Place of Return supposedly contained evidence, proof records, artifacts, something capable of revealing previous cycles, and something capable of explaining why civilizations repeatedly disappear. And according to the text, this location was hidden more carefully than any other. The reason appears in a damaged section, translated only partially. The surviving words are haunting. They hid it so that the cycle could continue. Nothing more. The rest is missing, perhaps destroyed, perhaps lost forever, or perhaps removed intentionally. By now, mystery had expanded beyond simple archaeology. Researchers found themselves confronting questions that touched every aspect of human history. Who created the tablet? Why were these locations recorded? Were they real places? Metaphorical teachings? Memories of forgotten events? Or something else entirely? Then another discovery complicated matters even further. Several symbols on the tablet did not correspond to standard Sumerian geography. Instead, they appeared associated with star maps. This observation led some researchers toward an alternative interpretation. Perhaps the hidden locations were never terrestrial at all. Perhaps the references to mountains, rivers, journeys encoded astronomical information. Ancient civilizations often linked earthly locations with celestial counterparts. Sacred geography mirrored the heavens. Could the three hidden locations represent regions of the sky? Lost constellations? Astronomical cycles? The theory remains controversial, yet certain details align surprisingly well. The place of return, for example, repeatedly references changing stars. The silent region includes symbols associated with darkness between wan constellations. The archive beneath the earth contains imagery connected to celestial knowledge. Coincidence? Possibly, but mysteries thrive on coincidences. The deeper scholars investigated, the more coincidences appeared. What happened next intensified the fascination surrounding the tablet. Researchers compared its descriptions against legends worldwide. Unexpected parallels emerged. In South America, stories tell of hidden cities inaccessible to ordinary travelers. In Asia, traditions describe underground kingdoms preserving ancient knowledge. In Europe, myths speak of lands removed from maps by supernatural means. Across cultures, separated by oceans and centuries, remarkably similar themes appear: hide places, forbidden knowledge, lost worlds, forgotten histories. No single parallel proves anything. Yet together they form a pattern difficult to ignore. Perhaps ancient peoples inherited fragments of a much older story. Perhaps memories survived long after their origins were forgotten. Or perhaps human imagination simply gravitates toward the same mysteries. Either explanation raises fascinating questions, but one mystery remained unresolved. Why hide these locations? If they existed, why erase them? Ancient rulers preserved monuments to demonstrate power. Civilizations celebrated achievements. Knowledge was often recorded precisely to prevent loss. Concealing entire regions seems counterintuitive, unless those regions contain something dangerous. And that possibility appears repeatedly throughout the tablet. Warnings, restrictions, prohibitions. The language suggests caution rather than celebration, as though the locations represented responsibility rather than discovery. The farther one travels through the text, the more the atmosphere changes. What begins as exploration gradually becomes warning. What begins as curiosity becomes fear. The scribes seem increasingly reluctant to continue, almost as if knowledge itself carried consequences. Then comes perhaps the most enigmatic passage of all. Near the tablet's conclusion, a line appears that researchers continue debating today. One translation reads, "The maps were altered, but the earth was not." A simple sentence, loaded with implication. Maps represent understanding. They shape how civilizations perceive reality. If maps change while the world remains unchanged, then ignorance becomes possible. Entire regions can disappear from awareness despite remaining physically present. History offers examples. Roman island takes up islands remained unknown for centuries. Lost cities lay buried beneath populated landscapes. Civilizations vanished beneath forests, deserts, and oceans. Perhaps the tablet reflects a similar phenomenon, or perhaps it suggests something more deliberate, something intentional, something planned. Whatever the truth may be, one fact remains undeniable. The mystery survives. Thousands of years have passed since the tablet was created. Empires have risen and fallen. Languages have vanished. Religions have transformed. Yet the questions endure. Where were the three hidden locations? Why were they concealed? What knowledge did they contain? And most importantly, what if they are still waiting to be found? Imagine standing at the edge of an unexplored desert. Wind moves across ancient sands. The ruins of forgotten civilizations lie buried beneath your feet. Somewhere below the surface may rest answers humanity has sought for centuries, or perhaps only more questions, because that is the nature of mysteries like this. Every discovery opens another door, every answer creates another puzzle, and sometimes the most important revelation is not what we find, It is what remains hidden. The Sumerian tablet never provides certainty. Its locations remain unconfirmed. Warnings remain unexplained. Its secrets remain buried beneath layers of history and interpretation. Yet perhaps that is precisely why the story continues to captivate us. Because somewhere between myth and memory, between archaeology and legend, between history and imagination, there exists a possibility that human history is larger than we realize. That forgotten chapters remain undiscovered. That ancient civilizations knew things we